Start. Start. On the last turn, we were discussing angular momentum, and we'll continue with that. And what I had told you that the operators J square and Jz, they are represented by common eigenstates alpha beta with the property that J square alpha beta, this gives an eigenvalue alpha h cross square, and Jz alpha beta, this gives a value beta h cross alpha beta. A priori, we don't know what are these alpha beta, and our target would be to determine alpha and beta. Now, the property which these alpha beta joint eigenstates obey are that these are orthogonal and normalized states. Okay, the other important point which I had told you, that these are orthogonal and normalized states. Then, in order to determine alpha and beta, we introduce raising and lowering operators J plus as Gx plus Ijy and J minus, sorry, J minus as Jx minus Ij. And then we saw that how J plus minus operates on alpha beta. Besides that, we also looked at the commutation relation of J plus minus with Jz, and we found out that this is nothing but plus minus h cross J plus minus, and J square J plus minus, this was equal to 0. The other important point which we discussed on the last turn was that J plus minus alpha beta is also an eigenstate of Jz, and this we prove by looking at the term Jz J plus minus alpha beta, this is equal to, using this commutation relation, this we can write it as J plus minus Jz plus minus h cross J plus minus. Alpha beta, and that is equal to, since J plus minus is not going to disturb this, but when Jz will operate on alpha beta, this will give us beta h cross. Therefore, this value is h cross beta plus minus 1 J plus minus alpha beta. Therefore, what we see that when we are considering J plus minus, and when it acts on alpha beta, it does not affect the first quantum number, but it changes the second quantum number by 1 unit. Okay. Therefore, what we can say that J plus or minus alpha beta is proportional to alpha beta plus minus 1. And that is why, since there is a proportionality point, this proportionality point, we remove proportionality sign by introducing a constant, which we shall determine later today in the lecture, C alpha beta plus minus alpha beta plus minus 1. That when the J plus minus operates on alpha beta, we get a proportionality constant, and the value of beta is raised by 1 unit when we operate by J plus, and value of beta is lowered by 1 unit when we operate by J minus. Now, if J plus minus alpha beta is an eigenstate of Jz, since Jz and J square commute among themselves and they are represented by a common eigenstate, therefore this implies that this J plus minus alpha beta should also be a common eigenstate for the operator J square. The important point is that Jz and J square, we have seen on the last term, they commute, they are represented by a common eigenstate alpha beta. Now here we have shown that J plus minus alpha beta is also a possible eigenstate. Then if this is a possible eigenstate for Jz, this should also be, using this property, this should also be an acceptable eigenstate for the operator J square. And this I am going to write. J square, J plus minus alpha beta. Now you see, we have just written J square and J plus minus, this is equal to 0, meaning by that J square J plus minus is equal to J plus minus J square, and this implies that I can write J plus minus J square alpha beta, and J square alpha beta is alpha h cross square alpha beta. Therefore this I can write it as alpha h cross square is the eigenvalue. I can take out J plus minus alpha beta. Therefore, if J plus minus alpha beta is an eigenstate for the operator Jz, then J plus alpha minus beta should also be an eigenstate for the operator J square. Okay? Is it clear to everybody?
सर प्लीज एक बार और बता दीजिए.
एक बार और बता दें. See, what I am telling you, that if you consider, one second. What I am considering, telling you that J square and Jz are the operators which commute among themselves, and therefore if they commute among themselves, therefore they can be represented by a common eigenstate alpha beta. Now for J square the eigenvalue is alpha h cross square, for Jz the eigenvalue is beta h cross. Okay, where a priori we don't know what are these alpha beta, this we will determine today, that what are these values, eigenvalues alpha and beta, what values are allowed. Okay, then what I had told you, that in order to determine alpha beta, we are introducing raising and lowering operator. the work of the raising operator is to raise the value of beta by 1 unit without changing alpha, or value of work of J minus is to change the value of beta, or rather it lowers the value of beta by 1 unit without changing the value of alpha. And that means this is proportional to alpha beta plus 1 or alpha beta minus 1. Okay, that means it is something like a ladder. You can go up by 1 unit in beta if you are using a raising operator. If you are using a lowering operator, you are going down by 1 unit when you operate by the operator J minus. Okay, then what we saw that if we have Jz J plus minus alpha beta, then I told you that this J plus minus alpha beta is also a possible eigenstate for the operator Jz. Now if this is a possible eigenstate, since J square and Jz commutes, therefore this should also be a common eigenstate for the operator J square. And this is what I have shown, that really this is a joint eigenstate for the operator J square and the operator Jz. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Now the important point is, when we talk about J square, this is basically Jx square plus Jy square plus Jz square. And this we can write it as J square minus Jz square. This is equal to Jx square plus Jy square. Okay. Now you notice that this Jx square plus Jy square, since these are squares, they will always be a positive definite quantity. The right hand side will always be a, because this is in a square, therefore when you are adding them up, this will always be a positive definite quantity. This in turn would imply that J square minus Jz square, this also should be using this property, this should also be a positive definite quantity. That my J square minus Jz square should be a positive definite quantity. And this implies that for a given value of alpha of J square, there exists an upper limit for the quantum number beta, as this has to be positive. Therefore, this implies that for a given value of alpha of J square, there exists an upper limit for the quantum number beta as J square minus Jz square is a positive definite quantity. That means the value of Jz would be constrained by the value of J square, implying that this value cannot exceed the value that we have for J square, implying that since this has to be J square minus Jz square has to be a positive definite quantity, this simply implies that if we evaluate between the eigenstates alpha beta, this will be equal to J square will operate on alpha beta, will give us alpha h cross square, and Jz square will operate on alpha beta, will give us beta square h cross square. and then we have alpha beta alpha beta. This should be a positive definite quantity. This implies that alpha must be greater than or equal to beta square. Mind it, here this is beta square and this is here alpha. Okay, this is just because alpha we are measuring in the units of h cross square, while beta we are measuring in the units of h cross, and here we need beta square. Therefore alpha is, if we are using this property, then alpha must be greater than or equal to beta square. That means beta has an upper limit, beta max. Similarly, beta will have a lower limit also, beta min, because we have to still, if we cannot just keep on lowering the value of beta to infinity, because here we have jz square, and if we are lowering it down, then a time will come when j square will become smaller than jz square. Therefore the important point is that there is an upper limit on beta as well as there is a lower limit on beta, and that means beta is confined between beta max and beta min. And first, that means that if we have reached to the maximum state, like in the harmonic oscillator problem, we have a given, for a given value of alpha, we have maximum value of beta. Then if we apply further by a raising operator, what was the work of raising operator? To raise the value of beta by 1 unit. But here when we have reached at the top run, at the top ladder, then we cannot further go up, and that means J plus operating on alpha beta max, this should be how much? 0. This we have seen in harmonic oscillator problem also. Now what we do, we operate by J minus J plus alpha beta max. This is again on the right hand side we have 0, but we know one of the properties that we have worked out on the last term, that J minus J plus is J square minus JZ square minus H cross JZ. Okay, this we showed something like this: jx minus ijy times jx plus ijy. This is why how we write j minus and j plus, and this will give us jx square plus jy square. So therefore instead of jx square plus jy square, we are writing j square minus jz square, and then we have plus I jx jy or and minus I jy jx, and we are using commutation relation to write it as minus h cross jz. Therefore we can write j minus instead of j minus j plus, j square minus jz square minus h cross jz. Okay, doing so, if we operate by j square minus jz square minus h cross z alpha beta max, j square when operate on this will give us what? Alpha h cross square. Jz operating on alpha beta max will give us beta jz. Operating on alpha beta, recall this gives us beta h cross alpha beta. Therefore this will give us beta max square h cross square minus beta max H cross square alpha beta max is equal to 0. Now we can take a H cross square common here, and it is a non-zero value. This implies that alpha minus beta max square minus beta max, that must be equal to how much?
0.
0. That must be equal to 0, and this implies that alpha is equal to beta max times beta max plus 1. Alpha is equal to beta max times beta max plus 1. Okay. Now similarly, what I have told you that in this ladder we can go up to a minimum value of beta min, and if we further want to go down, then that is not possible, and this implies that J minus alpha beta min, this should be equal to how much? We are all, yes, this will be equal to 0. We are only at the lowest state defined by alpha beta min, and if we want to further operate by a lowering operator, this should be equal to 0. Now here again, this time operating by J plus, this will be J plus J minus alpha beta minus, this must be equal to 0, and again we shall write J plus J minus in terms of J square minus JZ square plus H cross JZ alpha beta minimum, this must be equal to 0. Now J square operating on alpha beta minimum will give us alpha H cross square. JZ square will give us beta minimum square H cross square, and this will give us H cross square beta minimum. This must be equal to 0. Meaning by that alpha is equal to beta minimum times beta minimum minus 1. One condition that you have obtained is that alpha is beta maximum times beta maximum plus 1, and the other condition that you have obtained is that alpha is equal to beta minimum times beta minimum minus 1. That means these, on the left hand side you have alpha only, that means the right hand side ought to be equal, which would imply that beta max times beta max plus 1 must be equal to beta min times beta min minus 1. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And this can only happen when beta max is equal to how much? Minus of beta min. This can be only possible when beta max is equal to minus of beta min, because if you put minus of beta max here, minus of beta max here, take minus sign common throughout, you will get the left hand side. Therefore, what relationship you are getting, that beta max is minus of beta min, is it not? Now you notice we had this point of the run alpha beta max. At the topmost point where we were applying J plus, we were getting 0. Alpha beta min is the bottom point where we are applying J minus and we are getting 0. That means there we can move from beta max to beta min in the different integer steps, and we can come down to the point beta by moving down one step, two step, three step, four step, and n number of steps. So therefore we can say that the difference between beta max and beta min is the difference of the n number of steps that we will walk down while moving from this rung in the stairs to this rung. That means what I am telling you, that beta max is nothing but beta min plus some n number of steps which is responsible for moving from top position to the bottom position. This position in the rung always will be in integer steps. Always in stairs you walk integer steps, 1 step, 2 step, 5 step, 10 step, 20 steps. Therefore say in 10 steps you have come down from beta max to beta min, or 20 steps you have come down from beta max to beta min, or similarly from minimum to maximum you have gone up in 20 steps. Therefore the important point is that beta max is equal to beta min plus n, because this n represents the number of steps that you apply, okay, yeah, number of steps or number of applications you can say, to move from bottom to the top. But at the same time, what you know that what is beta max? Beta max is minus of beta min. This implies that if we write here this as beta max is equal to minus of beta max plus n, this implies that what is beta max? What is beta max from here?
n by
n
2.
by 2.
N by 2. Beta max is n by 2, where n is an integer quantity. Okay, where n is an integer quantity. Okay, but n by 2, depending upon the value of n, this can be half odd integer, or this can be simply integer. Okay, therefore what we are doing, we have this value of beta max with us. We call this n by 2 by a new name j. My j is n by 2, and this beta we are calling it by a new name m. Therefore we are now defining two quantities. Okay, beta max all the time which we were talking about, this beta max we are calling by the name j, where that j is n by 2, and beta, because depending upon your j, your value of m will be decided. Therefore the eigenvalue of j square, value of j square, how much was it? Alpha h cross square, measured in units of h cross square. Therefore alpha is how much now? J times j plus 1. Remember, it was beta max times beta max plus 1. Therefore this will be j times j plus 1, and then beta min is equal to minus of beta max, or beta max is minus of beta min. and my n is always greater than 0. Therefore, the allowed values of m will be lie between
0 and n.
no. See, what is beta max? J, and that is equal to beta max. What is beta min? Minus of j. Beta min is minus of beta max, and beta max is j. Therefore, beta max is plus j and beta min is minus j. Therefore, my value of beta is, the top value is plus j and the bottom value is minus j. This implies that my m is moving from minus j to plus j. My m is moving from minus j to plus j, while alpha is j plus 1. The important point is that this j can be half odd integral multiple of h cross, or this j can be integral multiple of h cross, such that if I now write j square instead of alpha beta, I will replace it by jm. This will be equal to j plus 1 h cross square jm, and jz jm, this will be equal to mh cross. This will be the joint eigenstate represented by Jm, with the eigenvalue for j square as j plus 1 h cross square and eigenvalue for jz as equal to mh cross. That in general, this means that m will take values from minus j to plus j, but this step size is an integer. Therefore, the important point is this value will be minus j for m, minus j plus 1, minus j plus 2, dot dot up to plus j. Okay? And here also we must write that these states are orthogonal. That means j prime, m prime, jm, this is must be equal to delta jj prime, delta mm prime. This must be equal to delta jj prime times delta mm prime. Now, how do we understand that what will be the different possible values for j and m? For example, if I say that j is equal to half, now can you tell me an example where j is equal to half?
N equal to 1.
L equals to 0.
L equal to 0, S state, and S is
S
equal
equals to half.
half. This is possible when L equal to 0 and S is equal to half. My total angular momentum J will be equal to half. Therefore, the important point is the formalism which we have developed is true not only for the total angular momentum, but it is also true for the orbital angular momentum as well as is true for the spin angular momentum. Therefore, when I am talking about J is equal to half, then L equal to 0, S is equal to half. Now, J equal to half means what will be the value of M? From minus J to minus J to plus J in the steps of unity and that means this will be minus half and then minus half plus 1, that is equal to plus half. And what should be the next value?
Three by two.
But that 3 by 2, whether it is greater than J or not?
Yes, sir.
And what is our condition? Our condition is that this M should be in between minus J and plus J, because beta max is my J. Okay? Therefore, only two values are possible. Therefore, the states that you may talk about is half plus half, half plus half, half plus half, half minus half, or half minus half, half plus half, and half minus half, half minus half. Then you will argue that, sir, these states are what? These are something like Jm, J prime, M prime. Since M is not equal to M prime, therefore this value is to be I was discussing that J equal to half is allowing us to have two possible values of M, minus half and plus half. Therefore, the states which we are forming are half plus half and half minus half. These states are orthogonal states. Therefore, this value, this will be equal to 1, while this value will be equal to 0. And similarly, if I talk about half minus half, half minus half, this value will be 1, and the orthogonal state half plus half, half minus half will be equal to 0. Is it not? Now, if I ask you the question, what will be J square half plus half? What will be your answer? What was J square Jm? This was J times J plus 1 H cross square J. Okay? This was J square operating on Jm. We have seen that alpha turned out to be equal to Jj plus 1. Therefore, this is Jj plus 1 H cross square. Therefore, what will be j square half plus half? This will be 3 by 4 h cross square j, or just I should write half plus half. Therefore, the eigenvalues for j square is 3 by 4 h cross square. But if I ask you the question, what is jz half plus half, then what should be the answer? This gives us mh cross, and m is plus 1 plus half. Therefore, this will be plus half h cross half plus half, and jz half minus, this will be minus half h cross half minus half. Is it not? क्या आवाज आ रही है मेरी या नहीं आ रही है?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this means if I ask you the question, if j is 1, what will be the possible values of m? Then that m will go from minus j to plus j in the step of unity. That means minus 1 plus 1 and minus 1 plus 2, because we are going in integer steps. This will be minus 1, 0, plus 1. We cannot go further up because we will exceed j is equal to 1. Okay? And that means for j equal to 1, m can be minus 1, 0, plus 1. Okay? J equal to 1 may correspond to two possibilities. Either I am talking about orbital angular momentum L equal to 1 state. Okay? And S equal to 0 state. Or I am talking about two spin half states whose combination is giving us J is equal to 1. Two spin half states whose combination is giving us J is equal to 1. Okay? But here if I am asked to represent the states will be 1 plus 1, 1 0, and 1 minus 1. Okay? And then if I ask you the question, what will be j square 1 0, j square 1 minus 1, j square 1 plus 1? Who is going to answer? Where will be the change in the eigenvalue when we are going to operate on the state 1 0, 1 minus 1, 1 plus 1? Anybody?
सर कोई चेंज नहीं होगी.
What will be the value?
2 twice h cut square.
Twice h
2h
cross
plus
square. 1 0,
2h
1
plus
minus 1, 1 plus 1. Okay? But if I ask you the question, Jz then what will be the answer? Jz gives us MH cross. M is 0. Therefore, this will be 0H cross minus
minus
1H
H cross.
plus 1H cross. Okay. Similarly, you can think about J equal to 3 by 2, where J equal to 3 by 2 will have 4 possible values of M, starting from minus 3 by 2 to minus half, plus half, and plus 3 by 2. And then you have 4 possible states, and corresponding to that, you get the values for J square and Jz. Now, this is all about J square and Jz. What about Jx and Jy? Now, that will be my tomorrow's lecture. See, what is J plus? J plus is Jx plus Ijy, and J minus is Jx minus Ijy. We have seen that this Jx is half J plus plus J minus, and similarly Jy, we have seen that this is 1 by how much? 2i. Tell me. J plus minus J minus. Okay. That means if I want to get Jx and Jy, then I need J plus and J minus. Then we have to see that how J plus is going to act on Jm, or how J minus is going to act on Jm. Once we will have the values for J plus Jm and J minus Jm, those we will use to get Jx and Jy. Is it not? Now the question arises, why suddenly talking about J square and Jz, I have started talking about Jx and Jy. If you recall from your 12th class, you are taught spin S is equal to half, and then you are told about Pauli spin matrices, and those Pauli spin matrices are given by 0 1 1 0, 0 minus I 0, and 1 0 0 minus 1. You are told that these Pauli matrices are Hermitian, they are traceless. Okay, and this we represent it by Jx, Jy, and Jz. So therefore, we will see in the class that for J is equal to half, which will correspond to S is equal to half as L equal to 0, how come one obtains these Pauli spin matrices? And then similarly, what are the matrices corresponding to J equal to 1 operator or J equal to 3 by 2 operators, and where we apply them? See, there are two places where we can apply. One is we have particles with a spin half, we have particle with spin 3 half, like delta, omega, sigma star, cascade star. These are the particles with spin 3 half. We have particles with a spin half. We have particles with a spin 1, as well as we have the addition of orbital and spin angular momentum. Therefore, the topic which we are dealing with, although it has mathematics, but these mathematics are really very interesting, and it has got lots of application in the understanding of the addition of angular momentum, or in the understanding of how we, for example, all the time we say that spin projection is plus half and spin projection is minus half. How come the eigenvalue plus half h cross and minus half h cross comes? How come the projection that we talk about is plus half h cross and minus half h cross? We will see that that would be true when we consider a matrix something like this. But if we change this matrix, what are the possible values? And all these questions are net questions, or even in the interviews they are asked. Therefore, the next two lectures, where we shall deal in greater detail about this angular momentum algebra, we'll see that how one can how one handles this these concepts and where they become important. Before proceeding ahead, tomorrow, our first task will also be to determine this guy, which I have left till now, J plus minus alpha beta, J plus minus operating on alpha beta gives us a constant and raise the value of beta 1 unit, or lowers the value of beta by 1 unit, because we want to see that how J plus operates on Jm or J minus operates on Jm. For that we have to determine this C plus minus alpha beta, and then only we will be able to determine the value of Jx and Jy. Okay, therefore let us stop here. Tomorrow I will